When we dig, we must ask not just what lies beneath, but why it matters. It's an important question every archaeologist addresses before starting the excavation or before going to a site to dig. Why it matters, why that particular site matters, why this particular site is important for excavation. This why is a very, very important question, and it actually can change the course of excavation because it sets the target before any dig begins. And this was the very question that this was a very point that was made in a recent interview by the Director General of Archaeological Survey of India, Y.S. Rawat. He stated that the excavation, the scientific excavation, should answer the civilisational question, the questions that can help to bridge the material finds to the broader vision of India's past. And very rightly so, it's a very, very important question. He also argued that it's time that India changes its excavation policy. By India, I mean the ASI should change its excavation policy, right from giving out licenses to undertaking follow up in terms of report writing, prompt report writing, etc. So he did address these points. But as we'll see that these emphases are not new. They echo earlier plans, reports, and unanswered mandate. Hi, my name is Disha Aluwalia. I'm an archaeologist and I write regularly on archaeology here at ThePrint. And today we'll explore the promise and the peril in reviving the archaeology for the new India. Rawat's suggestions echo the concerns that have been making rounds since 1965. The CAG's report of 2013 or the report submitted by the Parliamentary Standing Committee in September of 2023 had both pointed out similar problems. The lack of clear research direction, uneven regional coverage, and the slow pace of these reforms. The issues that the DG has raised in the interview, such as the context of the dig, the civilizational question, and the continuity of the excavation by an individual archaeologist, all reflect what those committees have already warned. In fact, the National Policy on Archaeological Excavation and Exploration was approved in 2015. It proposed the long term, problem oriented research projects that could stretch over multiple seasons across different time frames. It also urged state governments to take up village to village surveys to document every possible site within its boundary. It also pointed out very importantly that the PhD students, the researchers, can take up explorations without any prior licenses to them, and that can help in adding another database in the research. They also, these reports earlier have also suggested and have also emphasized that those regions which have been neglected for a really long period of time should be targeted. But decades later, and actually a decade later, after the national policy was actually approved, most of these directives have remained on paper. So, what the Director General is saying is not new, it's merely a reminder of those early reforms which have not been fully implemented. These recurring delays actually talk of institutional inertia that has held in an archaeology back for a very long period of time. Now, under the new plan, ASI, what the DG has stated that ASI hopes to give opportunities to the young archaeologist or the new face. And for me, it's a very important step in taking the archaeology of India to the next level because the next generation they are the caretakers of the archaeological heritage, and also the responsibility lies on their shoulder as much as it did in the previous generation. So that is a much needed change. But the question here is that how these new faces will be identified, how they will be included into the already existing system of ASI, because as the system suggests, the excavation are to be conducted by the directors of the excavation. The licenses are often given to the officers of ASI, or are given to the in the university setup, are given to the professors or anybody who actually really applies for the license. So how do we suggest that, how does the reversal of the roles or inclusion of the new people really work into the system? It's something that needs to be done, and something that really we'll have to wait and watch, and to see how things pan out. But one thing I do agree with the Director General, that there is a need of having a long term project, so especially for the sites like Rakhigarhi and Rajagriha. Both of these sites were previously excavated in recent years, and interestingly, these licenses were withheld for this season for both the sites. Now, I'm going to focus on these sites as we continue talking about the issues. First is Rakhigarhi, is a site where I myself was involved in the project. The site was excavated over 10 to 11 field seasons till 2024. And during these field season, different aspect of a very important iconic site were revealed. The first excavation, of course, was undertaken in 1998 by Dr. Amrindranath of ASI, and then the excavation was conducted by Dr. Vasant Shinde when he was affiliated with the Deccan College, Pune. Both these projects have really highlighted the significance of excavation. Many of you will be aware that the DNA analysis that is a topic of a lot of conversation, was done during the project, the tenure of Dr. Vasan Shinde, and but despite multiple excavations, when Dr. Sanjay Manjul in 2021 decided to re-excavate Rakhigarhi, there were a lot of unanswered questions that were in front of them. So the why was there, because we needed to know the settlement pattern of the sites. We needed to know how the different mounds connected to itself, each other, how people really lived, and what was exactly the hydraulic system, and whether or not there were any common ground or common area like the stadium we see at Dholavira. There was also another question, another why in front of the entire team, was to have a revised dates, scientific dates of the site, including the dates from the burial ground and also the early levels. Another important point was to undertake various scientific analysis, including the zooarchaeological, geoarchaeological, and also archaeobotanical analysis, while conducting remote sensing and lidar surveys. So these were basically the objectives which were set by Dr. Manjul and his team in 2021. The excavation was conducted in for 3 field seasons now, and in the 3 field seasons, various parts of the sites were excavated, including Mound 3, the Arjia 3, which was not excavated either by Dr. Shinde or by Amrindranath. So this particular area was like a virgin area, which was not targeted or investigated by anybody. So it really gave us a new perspective to the site. Upon excavation at Arjia 3, there were various structures that were excavated. A well was excavated. A very good structural plan was also excavated, including the sanitation and drainage system. Another important aspect was the probability of a stadium, a very large area where people would have gathered regularly, and also possibility of a water tank, which could hint and answer the question of the hydraulic system, and also the system which the water system at the site, like the one we see at Dholavira. Because to be very honest, and this inspiration was taken from the site of Dholavira, if you have a site, a big site, a big metropolis, people need water, people need to have a common area for getting together. So these were the various questions that we had in our mind before excavation. As this excavation was undergoing, the license was withheld and the work was left in the middle. It was not completed, and there are a lot of probabilities now that we have in front of us. The reason why license was withheld was that the ASI wants to have a bigger project at Rakhigarhi and wants to have a new phase to excavate Rakhigarhi. This is exactly what the DG has also pointed out in his interview with the print. He stated that a new person, a new perspective should be there in the excavation of Rakhigarhi. But here is very important question when we talk of new people, new perspective, new team, is that all the work done by the previous teams have it sort of left hanging and there is no continuity. This is exactly the reason why Rakhigarhi, we don't have the complete picture of Rakhigarhi despite being excavated for 12 field seasons. And I have written a column on this. In fact, that was my very first column here at the print as to why we are excavating Rakhigarhi for the ninth time. And the answer was that all the previous excavations were done in bits and pieces. There was no continuity. We have a very good example of site like Dholavira, which was excavated for over 10 years by one team, which was headed by Dr. R.S. Bisht. And that continuation, the leadership really helped in navigate the entire project, which led to unearthing of one of the most important sites of ancient India. Another very important example is of Ian Hodder and his excavations in Turkey, which have undergone for really long period of time, which have uncovered thousands of years of history. We have also example outside India of Dr. Robin Cunningham excavating sites like Tilorakot and Lumbini under a project in collaboration with the Archaeology Department of Nepal and also other collaborating partners. So when we have a project under one leadership, that we have examples of yielding good results rather than having multiple excavators excavating a site. And interestingly, Rakhigarhi is an example of the latter. It's an example of a site where you have multiple excavators excavating, but there is no cohesion, there is no collaboration, there's no continuity in dig. So, although I do agree with Director General's point of view that new perspective is needed, but how long? Before I forget, I also want to point out the site of Vadnagar, which was also excavated by Dr. Shri Rawat and also later by Abhijit Ambekar, and these both excavators have excavated for a long period of time, which helped in sort of unearthing the true potential of an archaeological site. Excavation is a slow process. In 2 years, you are only understanding the site and how what site really is trying to tell you. It is often the third and the fourth year which really start unveiling important information from the excavation. So, was it fair to stop the site of excavation, to stop the excavation in Rakhigarhi or even Rajgriha? No. Is it important to have a long-term projects? Yes. Talking of the duration of these projects, DG suggests that they should be at least for 3 years. And my counter suggestion is that the duration should be marked by the why and also by the historical significance of the site and not by anything else. Now, coming to another very important question, that is the civilizational significance or the civilization question, as he stated. Uh, there is a need to have more regional targeted projects, especially in the areas which have been neglected for a really long period of time. Eastern India comes to my mind when I talk about this, especially the region of Bihar and West Bengal. The work, the way it should be done, it's not been undertaken. We have sites like Rajgriha, which was excavated, and very important site, but now the excavation has halted. Again, hoping that it will begin again. There's a need to re-excavate multiple sites, including sites like Nalanda, to undertake multiple non-invasive explorations at these sites. There's a need to also target West Bengal. So while the thought is right and it is in tune with a lot which has already been suggested in various reports since 1965, 1965 was the time when Mortimer Wheeler headed a review committee, and he gave out the Wheeler's report. Since it's time now to actually put these reports, these suggestions in action, and to target areas which have been neglected, and also to have a proper guideline. And as an archaeologist who's been working in this field for over a decade, I am looking forward to these policies, looking forward to how the things will pan out. And I hope that with the tenure of Shri Rawat, this will not be just another thing put on paper. It will really turn into action, and we do see changes on ground, especially in with the fact that it will affect the next generation of archaeologists, the young archaeologists, and the new face of India. But before I end, I also point out that hopingly there'll be more employment opportunities, and which was one of the points made in the national policy, that they should be more. And also in 1965, that there should be more people employed at the survey. A lot of it got buried in files and paper in the administrative block of the survey. With this, thank you so much for listening. And if you like the video, please do hit the like button and subscribe to the Print's YouTube channel, and also follow Print at various social media outlets. And we'll come back again with another interesting video on archaeology and the issues that revolve archaeology of India. Again, thank you once again for listening.